So what is going on, y'all? It's your boy HD MMA back at it again with another video. Today we're going over my picks and predictions for UFC Fight Night, Aljamain Sterling versus Yusuf Zalal. This is a pretty sneaky good card. I think this has the potential to have some good fights, some good finishes. Not that much hype behind it. I think MMA Guru has he's been on a hiatus. I don't know what's going on with him, but he hasn't posted I haven't seen him post a prediction video since like a last card. So that says to you all the hype. If motherfuckers ain't even showing up to work for these fight night cards, I think something's off. But I know a lot of these guys. I know I've watched a lot of them. I've watched their fight styles, and I think this has the potential to have some good finishes and good moments all throughout this card. Other than the main event and the co-main, possibly I think there's a lot of room for a lot of fun fights and stuff on this bullshit Apex Dungeon bullshit. So, without further ado, let's get into these fights, starting with the prelim opener of Talita Alinsar versus Julia Palastri. I'm going with Palastri in this one by a UD. I think she looked very good in her last fight against Karolina Kowalkiewicz. Had very good striking. Finished the fight in the third round by a head kick. I think that's what started off the finishing sequence. And she just looks very impressive in the striking. Alinsar, in her last fight, she fought a girl who I think is extremely dog shit. I think her name was Ariane Carnelossi, something like that. Very bad female fighter in the UFC. I don't even know why she signed, but she won that fight by I think a third round submission. But I think if you're a UFC level WMMA fighter, you should be finishing a girl like that I think you should be finishing her earlier and looking more dominant. She did look very dominant, but there wasn't a lot of like big moments to set apart her from the girl she was fighting. So I think Palastri, she's gonna have a size advantage. She's gonna have a reach advantage. I think she's gonna have a slight striking advantage and know how to know where to place shots on a girl like Alinsar. Who does just kind of like pick at you at range, and she'll land stuff if she has an advantage on you, like she did in her last fight. But I think I don't think she's on the level of Palastri in terms of the striking. And in the grappling, I think Alinsar has a slight advantage. I think Palastri can fend her own in the grappling, especially in the clinch. I think she has a Muay Thai background. To work off of and sort of like implement in her game as well. So yeah, I think Palastri in more aspects of the fight game has got her beat, and I think she'll win this fight by a UD. I think she'll piece her up on the feet, separate in the clinch, know how to not get taken down from there as well, and not get controlled. So yeah, I got her to do that. Moving on, we got Max Griffin versus Victor Valenzuela. I think that's how his name is. I'm going with Max Griffin in this one. Valenzuela over here. He lost his fucking fight on the Contender Series. He got absolutely fucked up and brutalized by the guy he was fighting. His name was Michael Oliveira, who is a very good guy, very good prospect. I'll research him as well. But Valenzuela got brutalized, looked like he did not belong in the UFC. And Max Griffin, he is a veteran, he is an unk of the game, but I think he still got some in him. He still got some fight left in him, still got some grit and tenacity left in him to push through a fight. And I think he can push through a guy like Valenzuela over here, who does kind of like go forward, crash forward, throw like big combinations at you, like kind of plots into range to into like the pocket range to throw these big combinations at you. And I think Max Griffin can ward that off, use some unk tricks, some crafty vet tricks to keep the distance. Um, Not get pressured back the entire fight. I think he can land some of his own shots on Valenzuela. Find some of his own significant strikes. Put some damage on Venezuela. Sort of sway the fight to his favor. I think he's also more technical with the straight shots as well. I think he can find those. He does have a big reach advantage in this fight as well, as well as a height advantage. And I think he'll be able to find his shots way better than Venezuela can find his. And I also think he can grapple in this fight as well. I haven't seen Venezuela's grappling, but I don't think it'll be on the level of Max Griffin. So yeah, I got Max to win a split decision. I think Venezuela can find some shots here and there, and like early in the first, sort of like fucking catch Max Griffin off guard with like his some pressure and sort of force a firefight early. But I think Griffin can survive that because he's never been TKO'd in the UFC, I believe, or he's only been TKO'd like once or twice maybe. I thought there's a fight with him in Moreno where he got rocked pretty bad, and he was still able to get into the fight and build himself back up. Although he did lose that fight, you say able to find his way back into the fight after being hurt very badly. So I think Griffin can survive like an early storm from Venezuela and find his way back into the fight with some tactics. So yeah, I'm going with Griffin by a split decision. Yeah, teach this up and comer a lesson who I don't think is UFC level at this moment in his career. Moving on, we got Francis Marshall versus Lucas Brennan. I'm going with Francis Marshall in this one. I don't think Brennan is UFC level. I know he's young. He's a big featherweight. These guys are fighting up at lightweight, and I think this fight is also short notice as well. I think Marshall was supposed to be fighting someone else, and then they might have pulled out, and Brennan stepped in. But this guy's a regional scene sort of merchant. Been around the regionals, lost 2, I believe. He was undefeated for a long time in Bellator and stuff like that. Was like off fighting. I think his 2 most recent fights were off in some like bumfuck promotion somewhere else, but he's in the UFC now. I don't think he's UFC level. I think Marshall, who has wins in the UFC, got robbed by Marin Santos. Very clearly won that fight, and I think Marin Santos is very good. And I think he'll be able to put it on Brennan here, who's taking the fight on short notice. Use his grappling, even though Brennan is a good grappler in his own right. I think Marshall has UFC caliber grappling. I think he can sort of out grapple Brennan, out control him. Just have that sort of UFC level experience on Brennan and be able to find a sub on him. I think a rear naked choke against Brennan, use like that use his sort of physicality. He also has good stand up, good power on the feet as well. Marshall, he's a bit tentative on the feet, bit sort of like hesitant to let his hands go, I want to say, but when he lets him go, I think he can hurt Brennan on the feet as well, and I also think he can sub him if he takes it to the ground if he wants to. So yeah, I got Marshall by a first round sub, I want to say. Moving on, we got Jafel Filho versus Cody Durden. I'm going with Jafel Filho in this one by a first round sub as well. Filho, he's very good. He's only lost to twice in the UFC so far. Other than that, he's had a lot of wins, very good wins as well. Very good on the ground. Won his last fight by I think a Kimura in the first round against Clayton Carpenter, who was a very good grappler in his own right. And Durden is very, very washed. I think he's on a 4 fight loss streak. Excuse me. He really kind of only has like a pace he'll put on certain guys. Certain guys that are like a low output and very like timid and shy and frail. He can like back up and put a pace on them. But a guy who's like who's physical, who can stand his ground and sort of fight with him as well, and like sort of not fight with him, but like have enough power to like sort of deter him, can like break the pace of Durden. And when you break the pace of Durden, he doesn't really have anything to fall back on other than that. So I think Philho does have like the sort of physicality to match Durden and break his pace and also get him down to the ground and sub him. I think I want to say a rear naked. Maybe he can go for like an arm bar or something, a Kimura. But I think it'll be like a sub that he can catch Durden in after, even like shit. Maybe even like off of a reversal from Durden shooting a takedown. I think Phil Ho will be good enough to reverse him and put him and put Durden in a bad situation and eventually sub him. So yeah. Moving on, we got Mayra Bueno Silva versus Michelle Montague. I'm going with Michelle Montague in this one by a unanimous decision. I think she'll just bully Silva in the grappling. Montague, she's big for the weight class. Really good at bullying girls and sort of getting her way in the grappling. And Silva, she's there to be bullied. She's there to be held in the clinch and held down on the ground. Very timid and shy. She's also I think she's on a 4-fight loss streak as well, if I'm not mistaken. It's hard to believe a girl like this, at one point, contended for a title in this division. That just shows you how fucking free and talentless this division was. That a girl like Bueno Silva was able to get to the top of the division and potentially had a chance to be champion. But I think there's a lot of talent that's been filled out in this division. A lot of girls like Jacqueline Cavalcante, like Michelle Montague, like BM Mosquita, and other girls like that who have really filled out this division in terms of talent and brought life back into it. And I think she'll be able to use that talent to win this fight against Silva. So yeah. Moving on, we got Jackson McVeigh versus Cedricus Demas. This one was hard for me since they're both ass. And I don't think they should be in the UFC. I don't think they're good representatives of the skill level in the UFC. But middleweight is dog shit, and these guys are that dog shit. But I'm going with Dumas in this one. I think even though they're both ass, Dumas at least has wins in the UFC, and Dumas, he beat Cody Durden. And I don't know if I would pick Jackson McVeigh to beat Cody Durden. McVeigh, he had a good round against. He had some good rounds against like Zachary Reese. Had some success there, but got finished in the third, I believe. Doesn't have a win in the UFC. Has been finished in both of his fights, and I think Dumas will be able to sort of like put it on him with some like danger. Maybe like in the striking, or in the maybe not even the grappling. Maybe Dumas, he does look very like unaware of some positions once he gets stuck there in the grappling. But in the striking, I think he'll be able to put it on McVeigh, um, and win the fight off that. So yeah, not really much to say, but between these two fucking knuckleheads. But I gotta pick one of them to win. So I'll pick Dumas. I have more confidence in that. Moving on to the headliner of the prelims, and it is Rodolfo Vieira versus Eric McConaughey. I'm going with Rodolfo Vieira in this one, even though he did get brutalized by fucking Bo Berry's bot NPC Nickel. I think he has more ways to win this fight than Eric McConaughey does. McConaughey, he got a split decision win against Cody Brundage, and hasn't done anything in the UFC since. Has lost 2 out of 3 of his fights. And Vieira, he has the grappling to fall back on if it's not going his way on the feet. I think McConaughey is the better striker. I think he uses more tools. And Vieira, he kind of just like stands around and sort of his little output will throw one jab and then one right hand and then one like low kick, and kind of like that's how he fights on the feet. But in the grappling, I think I got if I had to give an advantage, I've got Rodolfo Vieira all day, and I think he can take the fight to the ground and sub him. But it's hard to say because he hasn't really done that since like his UFC debut. But I think there's a probability he'll do that in this fight. I think there's higher probability to do that in this fight than McConaughey has like probability to like tee off on him and fucking TKO him and put combos on him up against the cage and shit like that and style on him on the feet. So yeah, I think the stand up is pretty even. Give a slight edge to McConaughey, but I think in the grappling, it'll be the difference. So yeah, Vieira like a not first round. I think like a second round rear naked will be good. So yeah. Moving on to the first fight on the main card, and it is Marcus Buchecha versus Ryan Spann. I'm going with Ryan Spann in this one. Buchecha, he's like Rodolfo Vieira, but even shittier. He does not have a reliable way to get a fight to the ground. His offensive wrestling is very poor, very obvious. It seems like guys who are like the least bit of capable in the grappling can see his takedowns from a mile away and defend them. I think he went to a draw against Nzechukwu, who was not that good, and I think Ryan Spann is better than Nzechukwu. He at least knows how to throw punches better than Nzechukwu and has like KO power in the hands. And I think he'll be able to stuff the takedowns of Buchecha and fucking find a way to make Buchecha stand with him and make him run into a big power shot and put him out cold. So yeah, I'm going with Ryan Spann to do that. Shit. Moving on, we got Montel Jackson versus Raoni Barcelos. I'm going with Barcelos in this one. I think both these guys are very even in their skills. Maybe Barcelos has a bit more submission ability once he takes it to the ground. And Montel has like maybe like a bit better like fundamental boxing understanding, but at the end of the day, I think Barcelos will be more active than Montel. Montel, he's very powerful for bantamweight, very long reach, very rangy fights like that as well. Shit, but he does not throw enough. He doesn't throw nearly enough to make a difference in like long drawn out fights. He does like sort of look for the he I don't even know if he like looks for his power shots, but he's too hesitant to throw like power, and he doesn't like set them up like with volume, or like tap, or like throw like enough little shots to set up his like big power shots. And Barcelos, he's very savvy in the boxing, very good in the pocket, throws good hooks, those like tight hooks, outboxed fucking what Ricky Simone in his last fight. And I think although his chin is a bit sus since getting like KO'd from fucking Umar, hasn't been like really hurt and wobbled since then. But I think he'll be able to find his way in the pocket against Jackson, and be able to outland him in the pocket with like hooks and stuff, and just be more active with his boxing and his volume, and also be like active in the takedowns as well, be active in the grappling, so to slow down Jackson as the fight goes on. So yeah, I'm going with Honey Barcelos from a unanimous decision. Just be more active, be up on numbers in all 3 rounds, and win the fight off that. So yeah. Moving on to the what is this, the no, not the featured fight. Moving on, we got Davy Grant versus Adrian Luna Martinetti. I'm going with Davy Grant in this one. Martinetti had a one on the Contender Series, fought Mark Vologden, but Mark Vologden, he got exposed by John Castaneda over this past weekend. And if you're going to war with Mark Vologden on the Contender Series, I'm definitely not picking your ass to beat fucking Davy Grant in your debut. Davy Grant is coming off a loss to Charles Jourdain, but Jourdain, he's very good. I think he's outside of the top 15 at bantamweight. Right on the cusp of being ranked at bantamweight. Just won his most recent fight as well. So I don't think there's much shame in losing to Jourdain. And if you're going to war with Mark Vologden, I don't think you're going to be able to go to war with a guy like Davy Grant, who has good power at bantamweight, very, very crafty, probably the most crafty guy on the roster. I don't know who's keeping track, but I think if we're measuring craftiness, Davy Grant is top 5 at least, maybe even top 3. Very crafty, good subs as well. Is good kind of everywhere. He is getting up there in age. You know, the hairline, it wants to go, but Dave Grant is he's holding it on, masking it very well. But I think he still has it. And a Davy Grant that still has it is a Davy Grant that's gonna fucking beat up Martinetti once it gets like gritty, and once it gets like into a firefight, and it gets fucking and it gets messy. I think a Davy Grant, if he's in there, he can land a big hook on on Martinetti, drop him, and eventually find a finish. So yeah, I'm going with Davy Grant by I think a round 1, like a late round 1 TKO off of like a firefight exchange in the pocket. Finds a big hook on Martinetti, maybe like a left hook, right hook, something like that. Beats up drops Martinetti and puts him away. So yeah. Moving on to the featured fight, and it is Rafa Garcia versus Alex Hernandez. I'm going with Hernandez in this one. I think Rafa Garcia, he looked like dog shit in his last fight. Looked like absolute ass. Looked slow as fuck. Was moving, throwing combinations in absolute slow motion against Jared Gordon, who got hit by a car before that fight even happened. Was like moving at the same pace as him, if not like maybe like just a little bit faster, but still moving at an absolute snail's pace. And I think Alex Hernandez is way too fast, way too explosive, moves way too well, can fucking move around on the outside against Rafa Garcia, make Garcia like follow him, and then explode with like a big right overhand or a big punch, big elbow. I think he can throw in there as well, hurt Rafa Garcia and put him away. I think he'll do that like late in the first round, maybe early in the second. Find a big power shot on Garcia as Garcia's like moving in slow motion to try and like counter him, or like just find a good like tight shot in the pocket as well. Hernandez can do so. Yeah. Um, Moving on to the co-main, and it is Norma Dumont versus Jocelyn Edwards. I'm going with Norma Dumont in this one. I think this is way too much, way too soon for Jocelyn Edwards. If I'm not mistaken, Dumont is ranked third, ranked number 3 at women's bantamweight. And Jocelyn is ranked number 11, not even ranked inside the top 5 or even the top 10, and she's getting this big of a jump up into the rankings against Norma Dumont, who is like one away from fighting for a title at in her weight class. I think Dumont is more technical than Edwards in the striking. Can fend for herself in the grappling, even though she did look a bit shit in the grappling against Vieira, and sort of robbed Vieira. But we're not gonna discuss that. But I think Dumont can hold her own in the grappling and be way more technical in the striking. And the real reason why I'm gonna watch this is y'all already know. This might be the cheekiest fight in WMMA history, or at least in a long ass time. I don't think we're gonna see cheeks like this between these two women for a long time to come in the future at WMMA. It's gonna be cheeks on top of cheeks, cake on top of cake, quadruple cheeked up on a Saturday afternoon when this fight takes place. So yeah, I'll be happy to see that. Usually I only look at like one side of the usually I cover my eye and look at one side of the MMA fight, depending on who has the better cheeks. But this one I'm gonna be having my eyes wide the fuck open, having one eye dart around looking at Dumont, one eye dart around looking at Edwards on some fucking SpongeBob, Doctor Strange, seeing all the timelines type shit on some. I see all 3 possibilities, and one can make one can make me one could make me jack off, and this is gonna be this fight. I'll be watching this. Once this takes place, I'll be watching it back with some lotion. So yeah, but I got Dumont in that one. Moving on to the main event, and it is Aljamain Sterling versus Yusuf Zalal. As much as this pains me to say, I'm going with Aljo in this one. Even though he's based on Twitter, I hate Aljo's fighting style, man. I just hate it. I absolutely hate it, and I do not want to see him as a champion at featherweight. Absolutely don't. But I think he'll do enough. He'll be enough to beat Yusuf Zalal. As much as I hate Aljo, I do not think he's washed at all for 1 second. He used his striking a lot in his Ryan Ortega fight, the last fight that he had, even though he looked extremely shit at it, and I think Zalal has the striking advantage in this fight. I don't think he's going to be too content to stand on the feet with Zalal. I think he was very comfortable against Ortega, who doesn't do shit all these days. I don't think he's going to be trying to jab up and fucking do 1-1-2s and plod around on the feet against Zalal. I think he's going to be quick, straight to the point, try and shoot on the legs of Zalal, I think he's gonna have a bit of a strength advantage on Zalal. Zalal, he looks very, very frail. I mean, just look at the biceps of him. Doesn't look like he's gonna be like muscling guys around, and he doesn't really do that in his grappling. He's more of like a technical, systematic, break you down, get to a position. He doesn't really try to like big dog guys and like get them to the ground off of like slams and like big throws and stuff like that. He'll do like some trips here and there. Zalal will, but most of the time it's like he'll take guys down by like shooting under their like overextended punches, and he'll time a shot on them and get them down. But I think when it comes to the actual grappling, I think Aljo will have like a strict advantage, and I also think he'll have a advantage in just the control. I think he'll be able to get to a position where he can control Zalal better than Zalal will be able to get to a control position of his own. And on the feet, if you're gonna have a style that's gonna beat Aljamain Sterling on the feet, you need to have KO power in your shots. And Zalal doesn't have that at all. He's very content to move around on the back foot, use lateral movement, circle around, throw like some stepping knees here and there, but he doesn't sit down on his shots, doesn't sit down on his punches, and he doesn't have that KO power in the hands to switch off a guy like Sterling. And if you're going to beat Sterling on the feet, you have to switch him off. You have to hurt him. So I think the fight's going to go, they're going to feel it out on the feet. And Aljamain is going to feel it out for like the first 10 seconds, and then Aljamain's going to run across the cage, try and get a takedown, try to initiate the grappling. I think Zalal will defend it well against like in the first, I would say the first round, maybe even the second, but I think eventually Aljo will get him down, will eventually be able to control him, get to a dominant position, make Zalal carry his weight a bit, and then if Zalal separates, or maybe he'll throw up a submission that initiates like a scramble, and he'll stand back up. He won't have like the same movement and have the same speed in his footwork to like float around on the outside against Sterling. And then Sterling will shoot again, take him down again, just grapple fuck him like that until he gets a decision. So yeah, I think that's the way the fight's gonna go, most likely. And we get Aljo sort of gatekeeping the top 5 at featherweight, and then maybe he'll like fight a fucking, I don't know, Lerone Murphy or something like that. Maybe beat him, or maybe even lose a decision and sort of stay outside the top 5 at featherweight. So yeah, I think that's pretty much how it's gonna go, and those are my picks for UFC Fight Night: Aljamain Sterling versus Yusuf Zalal. Once again, I got Aljo by unanimous decision, Dumont by unanimous decision, Alex Hernandez by first round KO, Davey Grant first round TKO, Honey Barcelos unanimous decision, Ryan Spann first round KO, Adolfo Vieira second round sub. Not confident on that. Cedricus Dumas unanimous decision. Michelle Montague unanimous decision. Jafel Filho first round sub. Francis Marshall first round sub. Max Griffin split decision, and Julia Palastri unanimous decision. So those are my picks. Bet the house on them. Do all that good shit. Got the best picks on YouTube, and yeah, I will see you guys later. Be sure to like, comment, sub. I'll try and do a fight companion for this one as well. Maybe I'll hop in on the main card, that kind of stuff. But yeah, I'll see you guys later, and also make a reaction and breakdown video as well. So be sure to stay tuned for that, and peace later.